Welcome to Lift Your Leg. This is Monique Anstey from the Naughty Dog in Victoria, BC, author of As a Dog Thinketh.
And Jill Brown from Calgary, Alberta, the Bag Lady.
Tonight, we are talking about freedom, but not freedom in the sense of what you're probably thinking we're talking about. One trait that pisses me off as I look at other trainers and makes me so happy when I look at the good trainers in dogs that are free within themselves. That's, to me, the secret of a well-trained dog. Are they free within themselves? And we are going to tackle this conversation as best we can.
I never want to see a dog that's walking around looking like they have no freedom, everything is controlled, and they're just sad. We need to find a happy medium where dogs can be free and happy and joyful and still be under control and good members of society.
And by free, we mean mentally free, that they're willing to make their own decisions. They're not trapped or feeling helpless to make a decision in any way,
Yeah.
that they have to look at us to make every single one for them,
Yeah.
which is why I have so much issue with micromanaging. Those dogs end up looking to you to make every decision for them because that's what they're used to.
Yeah.
That's not a life worth living. I say that as a happily married woman. If I had to ask my husband permission for every single thing I did, I can't say I'd be happily married or he'd be alive.
Maybe that's why I'm single. All your dogs starting the same way with them sleeping in your bed and you having their back and them learning things. I think that's something we should touch on. People are going to argue with this because they say teach a young dog what you want them to do as a full-grown dog. But I don't think you want a 7-week-old puppy being micromanaged and not being able to make any choices, whether they're good or bad. Because then you're just going to end up with this sad puppy that is afraid to make any kind of decision. So as baby puppies, you can teach them things without taking away their choices.
The very first thing my puppies learn, first thing, sleep in my bed. Second thing, get held on my lap, which turns into handling of toenails. Third thing is follow me everywhere on all the hikes that I'm going to take you on off leash.
Mm-hmm.
Fourth is probably let me take a bone out of your mouth. Don't eat me if I want to. Take it, but you can have it right back.
Mm-hmm.
Fifth is going to be down means down, but now we're talking 7 months old.
Yeah.
And come 7 months old.
Yeah.
I haven't even tackled sit. I was thinking about that the other day, about how many dog trainers would shame me if I told them the obedience commands Mo and Rupert had.
Which is none.
Rupert, come. It was funny. My vet was walking him out the room the other day. What are his words to make him come with me? And I laughed.
Put a piece of food in front of his nose.
That's what happens when you're walking a blind basset. It's very problematic. It's very slow.
Oh my.
But Rupert will come when he's called. He'll follow me everywhere. And that's about it. But he's a nice guy.
And it depends on what you're wanting with a dog.
He's lovely to live with.
Yes.
He's an absolute delight.
If you have nothing else with your dogs, in my mind, they should come when they're called. Everything else can be managed. If you don't have a sit or a down or a settle, come when you're called, clip a leash on. Come when you're called, put them in a kennel.
Rupert was born to settle. I don't need to teach that.
Well, that's true.
I plonk him in a kayak and he settles for 3 hours. I put him on a paddleboard and he settles for an hour. Put him on my lap and he settles. He was meant to settle.
Yep.
His issue was coming when called, and now he does. So for Rupert, he's an absolute delight to live with in a house. He's wonderful. He's a lovely young man. Mo,
is a lovely young lady. Somebody asked me the other day if she was
Uh,
still as wonderful as she used to be.
she's better.
I said the last time I saw her, she certainly was.
I'm going to say she's much better now. She's
I
got more
love her.
personality.
I love her.
She's just darling, absolutely darling. But no, I'm going to say Mo has so much more personality now because her boldness has increased. So before she was lacking confidence, and she's gotten more now. So her personality's just gotten bigger and better. She sits on your shoulder. It's like having a pet parrot.
Yes, I noticed that before. She sat on my hand.
She comes when she's cooled and she'll follow me. Husband, not so much.
Can you post on the Lift Your Leg page the little video of her following Brian?
It was cute, wasn't it?
I
Uh,
love you.
Marcelle the Shell or Mo?
Marcelle the Shell, yes.
Is that the video you wanted?
Yes, you have to do both of them though.
If you guys haven't seen the video of Marcel the Shell, where he has his pet piece
Lint.
of fluff, pet lint, thank you,
Lint.
pet lint on a string, and says, "I love you," as he's walking along and drags it into things. It's so funny. So whenever I see Marcel the Shell, I have a tendency to call some clients that as I'm watching them walk around with their dogs, that they're just dragging their dog around and they're like, "I love you," completely unaware of what's going on with their dog behind them. So if ever I call you Marcel the Shell, that's why.
It's not a
It's
compliment.
not a compliment. It means you have no idea what's going on behind you, even though you love your dog dearly. Go watch Marcel the Shell. It's fantastic. You have to watch it pretty close to the end. It's funny. How did we get talking about that?
Brian and
Brian,
Mo.
what my dogs have. How are we putting this freedom in dogs, Jill? Is how
Or
we're raising them as puppies,
yep, the
where
lack
they're
of rules to begin with.
the lack of rules to begin with, where they're feeling safe and protected, and that we're mother bears that will back them up no matter what bad adventure they get themselves stuck into.
Yeah. I'm thinking more along the lines of something that they think is wonderful with everybody wanting to pet and hold their puppy.
Keep your smelly hands to yourself.
That's a lot for a puppy to deal with on its own. I think it's different if you've got a whole litter of puppies and people come in to visit
Yes, I agree.
because they still have all of their litter
Each
mates.
other.
Yeah. But when you've got a puppy that's been taken away from everything it knows
I
and it's
think
trying
it's
to create a bond with you and you keep handing it off to someone else. Yep.
as we're going along raising these puppies, pressure is not a bad thing, and pressure is necessary to make strong puppies.
Yes.
But the key of pressure is there must be a release.
Yeah.
And pressure can come in many different ways. Like it can come in the form of a game, it can come in the form of a correction, but it is necessary to make puppies stronger.
Yep. Don't fix everything.
No.
If a puppy gets themselves stuck in a situation where they're under a tree, in a corner, in a box, whatever, let them try to figure it out before you run in there trying to fix things for them.
Or create the stress.
Yes.
Like feed them in your bathtub.
Yep.
Throw their bowl in there and make them get in there and eat their dinner and then get out.
Yep.
Feed them under your kitchen cupboard, or I don't know. I'm a master at creating
Just
stress.
anything. They're
When
going
I
to have
get out
to.
the shower, I throw my towel on top of my puppy
Yep.
so they can't see where they're going. And then I run out the room. So by the time they can see, I'm nowhere to be seen.
Yep.
They have to come and find me. Or I'm in the kitchen and with a dish towel, I turn it into a whip and nail them in the ass with it and then run away. Like,
Yep.
I'm a badass and I create that in my puppies.
Well, that's
But
it.
then I
Just
laugh at them and it's funny.
and even if you do something that they're a little bit startled by, your reaction is what is going to create what you get in the future. If
Yes.
you laugh at them and run away and let them chase you, then you're going to have a dog that responds to something that startles them in a positive way. If you go, "Oh my God, I'm so sorry, I didn't mean to do that," you're going to have a squishy little wallflower.
I remember I had an English Mastiff here who was terrified of the world, so fearful that she dragged 2 vet techs out the vet clinic.
Oh my.
And so she's here, I have her, I'm trying to make her braver. I was pruning trees and I'd cut a branch off and then I'd whip her in the ass with it and run away. And then I'd go cut another one off and I'd bonk her on the head with it. This just continued for the day. And then the next day, I went plant shopping in Canadian Tire. And she
Oh
came with
no.
me and she launched through the air and ripped a branch off a tree.
Of course she did.
I was so proud of her. And I think I probably had to buy the tree also. But that's what you want. If I have a fearful little dog, I want to create that badness in them.
Yeah,
I can easily refine that badness and make it go away. But you can't easily put in boldness where there is none. You can fast take it, but you cannot fast put it in.
yeah,
So put as much in as you can. What I just said isn't true. In a dog like Harry, I would be careful about putting in that much boldness without the
well
rules
he
to counterbalance it because I get myself in trouble.
yes,
But in a fearful dog, put it in, put it in, put it in.
yes, Harry came with enough bold
Yes, he did.
that he didn't need that being put in. You weren't going to squish it,
I've
but he
still
did.
put it into Harry and Johnny, but I've put it in addition to control.
Yeah,
I've made sure I'm not going to get myself in trouble or eaten along the way as I've made them bolder and badder.
yeah,
Whereas with Pippa, I just put it in and in and in and in. Same with the English Mastiff, I just put it in and in.
yeah,
Now, with my Australian cattle dog that I'm working with right now, who puts himself into situations that he then doesn't know what to do with, but he has no confidence and he also is very sensitive to his environment. So for him, I'm putting it in, I'm putting it in, I'm putting it in, but I'm having to teach him how to deal with his overwhelmed feelings too.
yeah,
So I'm putting him into situations where he wants to bite and I'm coaching him through it. And those situations initially were anything where things are very excitable. So 2 dogs playing would make him do it. Then it was like 5 dogs playing would make him do it. Then he was around Harry and Johnny, much stronger dogs, and he was able to do it. Then I was working in the situation that he came here for. So a person that gets very excitable, that doesn't have control of their emotions, that he then wants to go for. So I had him there in that situation, trying to help him work for it. Next stages are I'm going to get my staff to start playing with him and getting him wild and crazy. Because once he gets to that certain point, he's not going to be able to contain it. And he's
yeah,
going to get very fresh with them. And then teach him how to rein it in and how to regulate himself. That's what he needs.
yeah,
So this dog needs freedom. He's so compressed. He's like watching a spring, and the spring breaks and he explodes. I need to decompress him. I need to give him freedom. So the having freedom part, I must teach him not to bite on the tail end of it, but also
yes,
by giving him the freedom alone, he won't have such a need to bite because he won't be feeling so compressed.
yeah.
So he needs both of those lessons there.
That freedom will unwind that spring to some
Yes.
degree.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I call them pressure cookers. He's a pressure cooker.
Yes, absolutely.
He's just he's waiting to explode on the slightest reason. So initially it was the slightest reason. Now it's, but as I can slowly release the pressure and then eliminate his reasons,
Yeah.
that's the retraining of a dog. It's not place. though,
Thank you.
though having said that, place actually would help him in certain situations. Because if you're feeling awkward, go to your place. But
Yes.
that alone will not fix this. It's
Take
removing the pressure and then giving him the skills to be able to deal with it.
allowing him a way to remove himself from that situation.
Yes.
I had one dog that was pretty quick to react to other dogs that were in her face, and I didn't like that. So we worked through it, and it was long enough ago that I don't remember what I did with that. She was probably just corrected for being a bitch. But she learned that when a dog came up to her, if she had had enough of them, the wise choice was just to go behind my legs. And you could see her do that. She would just walk away and go behind me. You can take care of this. Because if you don't, I'm going to do something you're unhappy with.
Hold that thought, Jill. I have to grab a glass of water. Wait.
Okay. Yep.
We're talking about freedom and how to get it. And again, I think it goes back to with any behavior, you have to look at the emotion there that's causing that behavior. So, in a dog like my cattle dog right now, he takes the world much too seriously. My job with him is to teach him to lighten up.
Yeah.
Same as Kate. Like, it was teaching Kate to quit taking everything so seriously, like quit being so hard on yourself. With Pippa, be bolder. Just go for it, honey. Go forward, make an error, just do it. So it's looking at that initial emotion and giving the counter emotion that is freedom. Does that make sense?
To me, hopefully it does to
Yeah.
others.
Like Leppy, the Mexican feral dog I had living here for quite some time. He was so fearful he would poop going through doorways, that one. So Leppy was so fearful, but also so panicky. He was both. And with Leppy, it was giving him the freedom. So clearing his head of the panic was number one. Then giving him the exercise, which helped free up his mind. And then it was, again, like teaching him to laugh, like silly games. Being silly and lighthearted with him, but very fair, predictable games. So it always starts off with very clear body language of I stop and freeze first. So I'm like, then I'll do something. So it's always I completely freeze and hold my breath. Then I'll move towards him in a very silly manner. Then I'll probably run at him, boot him in the ass, and then take off running and wait for him to get me. But it's all very, very predictable. So he knows when it's coming so that he doesn't have to be scared of me always. But he knows if I'm walking along and I suddenly freeze, tense my muscles, and hold my breath, the stupid bitch is going to do something.
He
Watch
knows
out.
something's
Exactly.
coming. Yeah.
So even in my stupid games, there has to be a predictability of when a stupid game is about to happen.
Yeah.
And I think we're all the same. If someone just dunks a bucket of water on my head, I'm not going to be happy.
No, you wouldn't.
No, I wouldn't. But if someone looked at me stupidly, I'm like, what? And then it happened, and then they took off running. There's a way to make it so it's funny versus just makes you angry.
Yeah. Yeah,
and
that was just a bad move to make versus the game's on kind of thing.
Yeah, exactly. It has to be an invite that the game is on. Come get me back.
And you do know by the expression. Even with, I definitely know with you, depending on your expression, I'd be like, oh, okay, yeah, I'm not going to dump this water. But you can know that with a dog too.
Oh, yeah.
Because if they look at you and they just turn and walk away, you're like, probably not the time to play this game.
Yeah.
But
if they're not wanting it and you push it, the response you're going to get will be much stronger than what you were probably wanting. If you decide to push it and you get that much stronger response, smile and take it.
Yeah. And you're either going to get that stronger response or you're going to create something that you're going to have to fix.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I will say, I have done that to Harry. It was one of those moments I had a choice to push or let it go. And I pushed knowing I'm going to get a much stronger response here. And I laughed at him and turned it into a game. So he then had a very appropriate outlet for his very strong feelings in that moment.
Yeah.
But I knew that strong response was coming and made sure I didn't wreck anything by responding to that strong response.
Yeah.
Because I asked for it.
You just got to be one step ahead of them.
Yeah, that's just it.
If you do that kind of stuff and the dog isn't wanting to engage. Like you said, you can either get a stronger response that you're going to have to accept and deal with, or you might squish them.
Yeah,
But even if you squish them, then you need to be one step ahead of the game where you can then turn it into another game that will bring them out of it versus just apologizing for it and then spending a month trying to fix the issue you just created.
totally.
I'm going to make you think on this one too. So, these dogs that need freedom and to move their feet to get out of their heads and make them less of a wound up spring, whatever. Then you have the dogs that get the freedom, get to move their legs, but they go beyond that point of freedom to where they get tired and then they're back into that bad situation where they're tired and now everything pisses them off. How do you deal with that?
Are you thinking like Squizzle and Harry?
Yep. Like they need to move their feet, they need to go, they need to go. And then you can see them hit that stage where they're like, I've had enough, but maybe you're an hour away from the vehicle.
I think dog training is all trial and error, right? And the good trainers know this. So I think we embrace our mistakes versus don't act in hope of not making a mistake. I'm not sure that that's exactly what you're asking for. But in that type of scenario, you get out there, you know the dog needs to move his legs, and then moving their legs, oh no, now they're mentally expired.
Yeah.
Then it's a matter of getting back to the car safely where the good of your exercise is not lost. There's a little bit of damage control. In the case of if I had, let's say, my cattle dog right now with Harry, if they're having so much fun together, then cattle dog's done and he now has a very short battery that the slightest thing going wrong is going to make him explode.
Mm-hmm.
That explosion is going to undo all the good I just gained by putting him with Harry and gaining what I've just done. So in that moment, I'm probably going to put Harry on a leash to get him back to the car. I doubt I would put Cattle Dog on a leash because then Harry would still be free to pester him and he'd feel trapped and would explode. So most likely it's going to be Harry going on a leash, or I'd be putting a toy in Harry's mouth so Harry then left him alone. Or I might put a toy in Cattle Dog's mouth so he had something else to focus on. Or I might dangle something off of Cattle Dog's collar, which also would give him something else to focus on. And in these moments, I'm out in the forest and, oh dear, I'm out longer than I intended. Now what?
Yep.
I've done stupid things like take a stick and jam it in their collar.
Yep.
So it's coming out one end. They're now totally entranced and focused on this stick in their collar. That's all they can think on. And I'll let him walk back to the car like that because all he can think about is a stick in his collar. He's fine. So it's coming up with something so that the good of the lesson stays. And oh, by the way, added to this, if I did make an error and he did explode on the way back to the car, it would just be like, come on, kid, let's go. I wouldn't make a big deal of it at all. Come on, hon. Because we've all had those moments like where we're just done.
Yep.
And something makes you explode.
You bark at someone when you really,
No conversation is going to make you feel better about that. You're just going to hate people more.
Yeah.
Just let it go.
Just ignore it and be like,
sorry, let's get you to the car quicker. Come on. Yeah.
Yep.
Or everyone else, leave him alone. I've actually done that with the cattle dog. He was done and everyone was bothering him. I can't remember what it was. But I like, come on, guys, leave him alone. And I just shoot them all away from him. He was so grateful. He knew.
Yep.
That's another big one, too. I realized you're done,
having
kid.
their back. Yep.
Yeah. He knew that I was helping him. So I think in the case of something like this, it all goes back to relationship. Does this dog trust you? Does he know you're trying to do what's best for him? And in moments where I can't, for whatever reason, then I'm jamming a stick in his collar so he's got something else to think about.
Yeah. Relationship. That's another one we need to discuss in the future.
Until you have a relationship with a dog, you can't train them.
Yeah.
And I'm going to say this, of my pet dog clients coming to me in growl class, their relationship with their dogs, for the most part, are fantastic.
Yep.
Because they've got this reactive dog. They've put so much work into trying to fix it. They're at their wits' end, but they're so invested that they've kept this dog. So these people are the best to work with. They really are. They love this dog so much.
Well, yeah,
And the dog loves them too.
they've kept it for a reason.
Yeah. It's amazing. They're like the best people to work with. Then I have my sport people. And by sport, I'm going to lump competition into that too. They're not necessarily the best. They've had a dog before. Their first dog they put 100% into. Second dog they put 50% into, but now expect 100%.
Yep.
So they demand way more than they deserve.
Yeah.
And
they demand more than they give.
And demand more than they give. And haven't necessarily put the work into the relationship either because they're still stuck on their last dog. They're quite hard to work with compared to someone coming in with a reactive dog. They're delightful.
Yeah.
It's funny, relationships, but the bad relationships aren't necessarily where we would expect to find them. It's the opposite, which is very sad.
We're going to do a whole podcast on that one.
Okay, I'm game. Mental freedom is the ability to solve problems. If their ball rolls under the couch, trying to get it. The ability to fling a couch cushion at my husband. Little things like booping me in the hand when I'm outside, like coming up behind me and boop. That's what the very fearful dogs do. That's their big, brave step. It's so sweet. You get a little nose in the openness of your hand from behind going boop. That's their big, bold move. And then I'll pause, hold my breath, and then jump around and pretend to chase them. But again, it's still that same pause, hold my breath so that they know I'm about to do something stupid back.
Yeah.
And then I'm like, yeah, and chase them. So I'm just as crazy with them as the others, but I'm very clear and predictable in my movements so that they know. Otherwise, they'd never have the bravery to do that again.
Yeah, they wouldn't trust what was coming next.
Yeah.
You're giving them a heads up.
Yeah.
They have to have the freedom to make their choices, make their mistakes, try new things, have a sense of humor.
And jump on your lap and cuddle at the end of the day.
Yep. Yep. You don't like the freedom of my guys when they come out of the pond and run up next to you to shake.
No. That's not freedom. That's their sense of humor trying to get me dirty.
Well, again.
That was like Reggie. That was like Reggie when he used to fill his tree plant pot with water in the pond and then shake it empty on someone's legs.
God. Or run past me with a whip and then shake his head.
He was so funny. He was so bad.
He was that. I've probably said this before on one of our other podcasts. I remember walking down your driveway and he came, his kennel run was open and I didn't realize it. And I went walking by and he came running up behind me and exploded. I didn't hear him coming. And I turned around and I think I yelled 4 different dogs' names at him before I hit Reggie. And he just laughed and picked up his plant pot and went away with his tail straight up in the air. He was so happy that he had startled me and scared me. You little shit. It was like, that's exactly what I meant to do.
Yesterday, Brian was walking Johnny into the house from outside. And as they were getting closer to the house, Johnny deked behind a yearling apple tree. So it's literally like a pencil stick. So he hid behind this stick tree.
Oh, hid.
And thought that Brian couldn't see him. He's so silly. I love these daft dogs.
Johnny.
And then I'm so good. I'm like, Johnny, where are you, Johnny?
Where are you? Get in here.
You have to go with it.
Oh
It's
my.
only fair.
He is a funny boy.
And I think that's all the stuff of how you build up their sense of humor, their freedom,
You
is go
have to
with their
feed into
jokes.
it. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. I had one that used to hide behind the upright posts of a chain link fence. Or the bottom part of a snowman that had melted away, but there was only about 4 inches left of the bottom part. She'd run up and lay down behind it, and she'd be like, "You can't make me go in the car if you can't see me." They're so funny.
I
Hmm.
think almost every photo I have of Pippa is the tips of her ears because she's ducked out away from the camera. Now, that's not her sense of humor, that's her feeling the pressure of the camera, but still, it's so funny.
Oh, my favorite's with the humpback whale in between her ears.
That was super. Yeah, that was good.
No. All right, I think that's about all we've got for freedom. Freedom!
Yeah. Let them be free spirits. Free spirits in their heads, but with control. And that's the key here, with control.
Yeah,
Come means come, down means down. And if you have those, and loose leash, if you
yeah.
have that, you don't then have to harp at them for, don't pull,
Exactly.
come here.
Yep. 3 rules.
Yeah.
3 rules is all you need, and then they can be free, just be dogs and enjoy themselves.
Yep. Exactly.
Yeah, you don't have to harp at everything. Although I do harp at get out of the kitchen. Get out of the kitchen. I have a very small kitchen, and Prada lying at my feet does not help when I'm cooking.
Yeah. Thank you for listening, people. Please share us with your friends.
Yes. Follow, share.
Thanks for
All right.
listening, folks.
Okay, see you next Tuesday.
Bye.
Bye.